not, Jan? So peaceful, so calm. You wouldn't know there's a bloodbath semi-final on its way, would you? Come to Yes, the Essence, putting Eurovision at the heart. Today's video we're going to be talking about the results of Eurovision Semi-Final 1. Before we begin, just a reminder that you can visit our website, our blog, and read all about what we have to say. This video fits in really well with that. You can find it on our website. Please have a read. And remember to like and subscribe to the channel. But let's crack on with what we know about the results of this first semi-final of Eurovision 2021. "16 countries stand before me, but only 10 may advance to the next round. Who will they be?" So, these are the results that we got from the EBU, the European Broadcasting Union, showing the jury and televote divide for the voting in the first semi-final of the Eurovision Song Contest. As you can see, Malta won the semi-final. They also had the highest jury score with 174 points, but Ukraine had the largest televoting total, so more countries awarded points from televote to Ukraine, which meant it really clicked with voters around Europe. It really resonated with them. They got 164 televotes to Malta's 151, but you can see that Malta still got the second highest televote. The second highest jury votes went to Russia actually with 117, and they came third overall with 225 points. This semi is quite unique. We've never had a situation before at Eurovision since when the EBU first started splitting the jury vote and the televote and presenting them separately. We've never had a situation where both the jury and the televote have agreed on a qualifier and that country has not gone through. However, that has always been theoretically possible, and in this semi, it just happened to happen. So poor Croatia. There's not much more we can say, but looking at this with 57 jury points and 53 televote points, it simply wasn't enough, as the jury pushed through Belgium and tried to push through Romania, and the televote pushed through Azerbaijan and Norway. So the bottom line here is getting low points in both was not as good as getting higher points in one and slightly lower in the other. So Croatia is a particular outlier here. And as I'm saying, the televote have pushed through Azerbaijan and Norway. So Azerbaijan with the very sensual and charismatic dance pop number, and then Norway with a slightly more dated ballad, potentially for juries, with a cheesy outfit that televoters will have remembered, but the juries probably will have brushed off as novelty without looking into the deeper message of Texas song. Romania, I guess, is also unlucky here in that the juries did want it through in the final, but just getting 27 televote points wasn't enough when you consider that the two televote qualifiers both had more jury support. And now, Ukraine won the televote in the semi-final with 164 points, but when you look at it, I have to say it's slightly less convincing a victory than with the jury vote. So the televote was far more certain in who they wanted to be the winner than the jury vote, which had more distribution between countries. Here it's very compact. You can see that Ukraine, Malta, Lithuania and Russia all score over 100 points. Israel and Azerbaijan are in the 90s, and it's a wide drop off after 11th place Belgium, where Romania is only on 27 points. And you can see this very clearly with the drop off. If we go back to the jury vote, then we can see countries like Azerbaijan are missing out on qualifying with the juries by 10 points, then Norway by 19 points. But then when you look at the televote, sure, Belgium are only missing out by 4 points, Romania then by 24, North Macedonia are missing out by 35, and yeah, the votes are an awful lot lower at the bottom of the scoreboard, and the televote is basically what I'm trying to say. So rounding up the bottom we have Australia. She only got 2 televote points, which I think is quite harsh because I don't know about you, but I actually quite enjoy Technicolor, with Russia and Ukraine each awarding it a single point. I think this is probably largely down to the fact that she couldn't actually perform in Rotterdam. When we look at the grand final again, it probably will tell a different story because Iceland finished in 4th overall. But when it comes to this semi, I feel like not performing seems to have really hindered Australia. In some ways, the only explanation I can think for this is that the grand final there would be far more casual viewers, and these casual viewers would have been well aware of Iceland and their performers having been major favourites last year and having commercial success across Europe. So when it came to votes in the grand final, they knew who Iceland were, they liked the song, they voted for it. And I guess to the same extent that played out a little in the second semi, which again I'm not going to look into because that's a separate video. When it comes to Australia, I feel like Montaigne is less well known, so maybe not having that physical connection meant that people didn't embrace the song so much. I will say the Australian broadcaster SBS put on a brilliant backing video. It looked really slick and she really served in it, but I feel when it came to the actual contest, maybe that hindered her slightly. Now the televote in this semi is seeming to show more of a regional divide. It's only true to an extent. When you look at Ukraine, Malta and Russia, every single country awarded them televote points, and even when you look at Lithuania and Israel, nearly everyone gave them as well. So I think televoters were very decisive in what they wanted. They maybe varied slightly in the volume of points they awarded, but largely speaking the televoters had a lot of consistency across Europe and Australia. So the one country that the juries were able to save was Belgium, and not Belgium was only a few points off qualifying with the televote anyway, so the extra jury love was more than enough to push it through. Croatia, because it's so compact at that cut-off, there's not much difference between 53 and 47, there's only 6 points, so it's Croatia who suffered and not Sweden as a result. The biggest outlier of this is probably Slovenia's 8 points to North Macedonia, which is probably down to them being closely associated countries. They shared a lot of same artists and music scene. They've got shared history, having been both part of Yugoslavia in the past, and as a result of their culture, you can see more regional discrepancies with the magnitude of these televotes. So if you look at the Slovenian televote going to Croatia, then Ukraine, who are the big favourites, are more regional discrepancies though with this televote in the magnitude of the points, as I'm saying. The magnitude of the points, there are some discrepancies. So if you look at the Slovenian televote, you will see that they give 12 to Croatia and 8 to North Macedonia. The North Macedonian vote is the only country to give the 12 to Croatia as well. So that is a kind of Balkan bloc vote, you could argue, but largely associations between countries, and it's quite a minimal impact on the results here, especially when you consider even with those 2 12s and making it a qualifier in the televote, it wasn't enough to push Croatia through. So, is that fair? We know that Croatia had a lot of love in the Balkans. We know the song went viral after the contest, pretty much, and most people, I would say, were pretty, not shocked, because it was always going to be borderline, but quite surprised that it missed out when some other countries made it through. So yeah, when it comes to the Eurovision voting system, how much of it do we want it to be keeping regions divided, and how much of it do we want that region to get their say is a good question, I believe, anyway. Certainly having Croatia, North Macedonia and Slovenia all in the semi together, you would have expected, since they united behind the Croatian song, that would have been pushed through. And as it was both a jury and a televote qualifier, again you'd think, well, it should go through, but it didn't in the end. So I guess maybe the biggest lesson we can learn here is that when it comes to Eurovision, it's not just being good enough to get through, it's about being wow. trying to really top a group is way more important than just scraping through, because sometimes scraping through isn't enough to scrape through. And when we look at what happened with some of the automatic qualifiers in the final, all those 0 points coming through, I guess it's the same story again. So stay tuned for our next video on the second semi-final. That will be coming soon. Read up on our blog again. And you're always free to comment, and there's more detail we can go into on how these sort of factors played out in the overall picture, and maybe where countries should look at for heading forward into the next Eurovision, because I'm sure all of you at home, if you're in a participating country, want the best and want your country to succeed. I know I certainly do. And yeah, it's just interesting to analyse these results, but I've blabbered enough. You've heard enough of my voice. So over and out to you, and remember to like and subscribe. Yeah.